The lantern is lit for tired souls. Come closer now. Yes. Just like that. Let the screen glow soft against your cheek, the only light in the room. The day has been long, hasn't it? So very long. The kind of long that seeps into your bones like cold water and settles there, making everything feel heavier than it should be. You carried so much today, worries you didn't ask for, silences that pressed against your ribs, smiles you gave away until there was nothing left for yourself. Your shoulders remember every ounce of it. They're up near your ears again, aren't they? Holding the weight of everyone who leaned on you. Everyone who needed you to be strong when you were already breaking. Your jaw is clenched. Your thoughts are racing, tangled like old string you can't quite unknot. The same worries circling, wearing grooves in your mind. You gave so much today, too much. And still the world kept turning, kept asking, kept needing, until you forgot what it felt like to be empty of everything but your own heartbeat. You're so tired. Not the tired that sleep fixes. The other kind. The kind that lives in your chest like a stone. The kind that makes you wonder how much longer you can keep being the lighthouse for everyone else while your own light gutters and dims. But tonight is different. Tonight, you don't have to be strong. You don't have to hold anyone up. You don't have to smile or pretend or carry one more thing. It's okay to rest now. It's okay to let your shoulders drop, yes, like that. A little more and feel the mattress rise to meet you like an old friend who never forgot your name. You don't owe anyone anything tonight, not even yourself. Breathe with me now. In. Slow and deep, like you're drinking the dark. Hold it. And out. Slower still, like you're releasing every hour you spent pretending. Again. In and out. Feel your jaw unclench. Feel the pillow cradle your head the way it did when you were small and believed the world was kind. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to be held instead of holding. Tonight, the lantern is lit for you. And it burns in a place you've almost forgotten, where someone keeps watch while you sleep. There is a tower at the edge of the world, where the forest gives way to mist and the mist gives way to stars. You've dreamed of it on nights when sleep felt impossible, haven't you? A spiral of warm stone, windows glowing gold against the dark, and at the very top behind thick glass and iron a flame that has never once gone out, not in storm, not in sorrow, not even when the darkness felt infinite. Tonight, that flame burns brighter than it ever has before, because tonight, it burns for you. The keeper noticed it at dusk, the way the light surged and reached, pulsing like a heartbeat calling to another heartbeat. He placed his palm against the warm glass and understood. Somewhere, in the vast and heavy dark, a soul is drowning, someone who has been strong for too long, someone who forgot they were allowed to need light too. You. The lantern has been searching for you, and it cannot go out until you find your way home. So let yourself drift now, dear one. Let the weight of the day slide from your shoulders like a coat you no longer need. Pull the blanket higher, yes, let it catch under your chin the way it did when you were small. Feel the dark grow kinder, warmer, like it's making room for you. Outside your window, somewhere far away, rain is beginning to fall. Not the harsh rain of storms, but the gentle, remembering rain that sounds like breathing. It taps on the tower's roof like fingertips. It slides down ancient stone in long, silver tears. And inside, the keeper is lighting candles in the windows, breadcrumbs of light to guide you home. He's been waiting for you. The kettle is warm, the guest room is ready. The patchwork quilt is folded with impossible tenderness, and the door is already open. All you have to do is close your eyes. All you have to do is let go. The light will find you. It always does. It's been burning for you since the moment you forgot you were allowed to rest, and it will keep burning stubborn as love, patient as stars until you remember, you don't have to carry the darkness alone. You are seen. You are held. You are allowed to come home. So rest now, tired soul. Let your breathing slow. Let your hands unclench. Let the lantern's glow reach across the miles, The evening ritual begins as it always does. The keeper climbs the spiral stairs with the slow deliberation of someone who has made this journey 10,000 times, each step worn smooth by decades of devotion. His hands carry the tools of his trade: soft cloth for polishing, sweet oil for feeding, scissors for trimming. The tower breathes around him, old stones settling, wind whispering through cracks that know his name, the distant crash of waves against rocks far below. He enters the lantern room just as dusk bleeds the last color from the sky. The lantern sits on its oak table, patient as always, waiting for his attention. He sets down his tools, rolls up the sleeves of his wool sweater, the same one he's worn for 30 years, cuffs frayed soft as spider silk, and begins. First, the glass. He breathes on it, watches the fog bloom and fade, then polishes in slow circles until the brass frame beneath shines like captured sunlight. The flame inside burns steady, golden blue and something gentler than both, casting shadows that dance like old friends across the curved walls. But tonight, something is different. He pauses mid-polish, cloth hovering over glass, because the flame has changed, not dimmed, the opposite. It's burning brighter than he's ever seen it, surging upward as if trying to escape the lantern's confines. The light fills the room until shadows flee into corners, until every crack in the stone is illuminated, until the keeper has to squint against the brilliance. What? His voice comes out rough, uncertain. The flame doesn't settle. Instead, it pulses. Once, twice, 3 times. A rhythm that feels disturbingly like a heartbeat calling to another heartbeat, desperate, reaching. Searching for something the keeper cannot see. He sets down the cloth with trembling fingers and places both palms flat against the warm glass. The lantern has never burned hot, it's always been kind to his skin, but tonight he feels heat radiating through the brass frame, through the table, into the floorboards beneath his feet. "What are you doing?" he whispers. "What do you see?" The flame surges again, and this time, oh, listen, something appears in its glow. A shadow. No, not a shadow. A silhouette. The outline of a person he has never met, standing somewhere in darkness so thick the keeper can feel its weight. Their shoulders are hunched, head bowed, hands pressed against their face. Even in silhouette, their exhaustion is palpable. He can see it in the curve of their spine, the tremor in their frame, the way they seem to be folding in on themselves like a paper crane caught in rain. Someone lost, someone drowning. Someone who has been strong for so very long that they've forgotten strength isn't the same as survival. The keeper's breath catches in his throat. Oh, he breathes. Oh, I see you. The lantern flares so bright he has to close his eyes against it. When he opens them, tears streaming down his weathered cheeks, the silhouette is still there, clearer now, more defined. He can almost hear their thoughts. "I can't do this anymore. Please. I just want to rest." The flame doesn't calm. If anything, it burns brighter still, and the keeper understands with sudden, crushing clarity. This isn't just light. This is a search. This is the lantern reaching across miles of darkness, across forests and cities, and the vast emptiness between souls, trying to find someone who needs it, someone who is breaking, someone who has forgotten they are allowed to ask for help. The keeper presses his forehead against the glass, ignoring the heat, and whispers, I understand. We'll find them. We'll bring them home." The lantern pulses its agreement. "Find them. Help me find them. Please." And so the vigil begins. He has kept this lantern for 60 years since he was a boy of 8, learning the ritual from his grandfather's patient hands, and never, not once, has he seen it behave this way. The lantern has always been steady, reliable, a constant presence in the turning world. It has guided ships through storms, brought lost children home, shown wanderers the way when paths disappeared beneath snow. But it has never searched, never reached, never called out with such desperate, aching need. The keeper sinks into his rocking chair, hands folded in his lap, and watches the flame dance and surge. His grandfather's words return to him, spoken in this very room so many decades ago. The lantern knows who needs it before they do, boy. It can feel a soul breaking the way you feel rain before it falls. When it calls, You answer. Always. But they haven't found us yet, the keeper murmurs to the empty room. How can I help someone who doesn't know we exist? The lantern's response is immediate. Burn brighter. Reach farther. Refuse to give up. The keeper rises, decision crystallizing in his chest like frost forming on glass. If the lantern is calling someone home, he will make that home ready. He will prepare. He will wait, however long it takes. He descends the spiral stairs, each step deliberate, and enters the small guest room carved into the tower's curved wall. The narrow bed with its iron frame sits beneath a window that overlooks the forest. He strips the old linens, replaces them with fresh sheets that smell like lavender and sea wind, then retrieves the patchwork quilt from his own room. This quilt, stitched from every kindness he was ever given, his mother's handkerchief, his grandfather's work shirt, a square of fabric from the girl who loved him once, briefly, before life called her elsewhere. Each patch a memory, each stitch a promise that love persists even when the people who gave it have gone. He folds it with extra care, smooths the creases, places it at the foot of the bed where tired hands can find it in the dark. Next, the kettle. He fills it from the pump, sets it on the small stove, adjusts the flame to barely there. The water will stay warm now, ready for chamomile tea whenever the visitor arrives. Hours from now. Days. However long the journey takes. He lights candles in every window, tall white tapers that will burn for days without guttering, breadcrumbs of light, a path through darkness. He places them carefully, spacing them along the spiral stairs, in the guest room, along the narrow halls. The tower begins to glow from within, warm as a beating heart. In the kitchen, he sets out bread and honey, apples that smell like autumn, soft cheese wrapped in cloth, food for a soul too tired to ask. He tends the fire in the small hearth, building it high enough to last through the cold night ahead. And finally, he returns to the lantern room, climbs back into his vigil chair, and places his weathered palm against the glass once more. Burn as bright as you need, he whispers to the flame. I'll wait. We'll wait together. However long it takes. However far they have to come. The lantern steadies, just slightly, as if soothed by his promise. Outside, the first stars appear. Inside, the keeper begins his watch. He's waiting for you, dear one. Even though he's never met you, even though he doesn't know your name or your face or the specific shape of your breaking. Because the light knows. It always knows when a soul is drowning. And it cannot rest until that soul finds sanctuary. Miles away, in a city whose name doesn't matter, someone is walking, not walking toward anything, not even walking away, just walking, putting one foot in front of the other because stillness feels more dangerous than movement, because if they stop, if they let themselves feel the full weight of what they're carrying, they might never get up again. The night is thick around them. Moonless, heavy, the kind of darkness that presses against your ribs and makes breathing feel like work. Streetlights blur past in halos of sick yellow. Cars hiss by on wet pavement, their headlights briefly illuminating the figure walking, always walking, before plunging them back into shadow. They don't know how long they've been walking. Hours, maybe. Or days. Time has lost its shape, melted into something fluid and unreliable. Their coat is wrong for the weather too thin, offering no real warmth, but they forgot to check the temperature before leaving. Forgot to eat, forgot to leave a note, they just left. Walked out into the dark because the walls of their apartment were closing in, because the silence was too loud, because every surface was covered in responsibilities they couldn't face. The job that demands everything. The inbox, with 200 unanswered emails. The calls from their mother they keep avoiding because they don't have the energy to pretend they're okay. The friend who texts only when she's having a crisis, never to ask how they are. The smile they've been wearing for so long, it's carved grooves into their face like a mask worn too tight. They've been everyone's lighthouse for so long. The one who stays calm in emergencies, the one who listens when others need to talk, the one who says, "I'm fine, don't worry about me," while drowning in plain sight. And somewhere along the way, they can't pinpoint exactly when they stopped being a person and became a function, a resource, a place other people came to refuel before leaving again. They forgot they were drowning too. The walking has brought them to the edge of the city now, where buildings give way to scraggly trees and empty lots. The pavement ends. They step onto dirt path, into what might be called a forest if you're generous with the word. It's more of a wooded area, really thin trees, undergrowth, the smell of decomposing leaves and distant rain. They stop walking. Not because they chose to. Their legs simply refuse to carry them further. They stand on the path, swaying slightly, and feel the full weight of their exhaustion crash down like a building collapsing. "I can't do this anymore," they whisper to the darkness. Their voice sounds strange, disused, fragile, like glass about to break. "I can't be strong anymore. I can't carry everyone. I can't." The words dissolve into something that isn't quite crying. Their knees buckle. They sink to the ground, right there in the middle of the path, and let the darkness press in from all sides. Maybe if they just sit here long enough, they'll disappear. Maybe the darkness will take them, gently, and it will all finally be over. Maybe that would be easier than going back. Easier than pretending for one more day that they're fine, they're managing, they're holding it together. They close their eyes. The dark behind their eyelids is absolute. And then, a light. Their eyes snap open. They blink, certain they're hallucinating from exhaustion. But no, there it is. Distant but unmistakable. A warm, golden glow cutting through the darkness like a knife through silk. A light where no light should be. They're nowhere near the coast. There are no lighthouses here, no towers, no reason for a flame to be burning in the middle of the forest. And yet, there, steady, warm, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. They stare at it, transfixed. The light doesn't behave like normal light. It doesn't flicker randomly or cast harsh shadows. It pulses, deliberately, rhythmically, as if it's calling, as if it's calling their name. The visitor rises slowly, legs shaking, eyes locked on that impossible glow. They take one step forward, then another. The light doesn't move away, doesn't fade. If anything, it grows slightly brighter, as if acknowledging their movement, as if saying, "Yes, this way. Come home." You've felt this, haven't you? That impossible pull towards something you can't explain? The feeling that somewhere, somehow, someone left a light on for you? That in all the vast darkness of the world, there's one small flame that's burning just for you, waiting for you to find it? The visitor takes another step. Their foot catches on a root, and they stumble, catch themselves. The light steadies, patient, waiting. They begin to walk again, but different this time. Not the aimless wandering of before. This is walking toward, walking home. Their exhaustion doesn't lift, if anything, it grows heavier with each step, as if their body is finally admitting how close it came to giving up entirely. But they keep walking. Because the light is there. Because it's calling them. Because for the first time in longer than they can remember, they feel witnessed, seen. Like the light isn't just showing the way, it's seeing them. Their exhaustion. Their breaking. Their desperate, aching need to rest. And it's saying, without words, "I see you. I know you. Come to me. You are allowed to come home." The forest thickens around them as they walk, but they feel no fear. The trees lean in, branches creating a canopy overhead, but instead of oppressive, it feels protective, like the forest is making a corridor just for them, guiding them forward. The light ahead grows brighter. Not closer, it still seems impossibly far, but more insistent. The pulse quickens slightly, matching the rhythm of their heartbeat, and they realize with a strange, dreamlike certainty the light is alive, conscious, aware of them. Their feet move without conscious decision now. Left foot, right foot, left again. They stumble over roots, catch themselves on tree trunks, push through undergrowth that seems to part before them. Their breath comes in ragged gasps. Their coat snags on branches and tears, their hands are scratched and bleeding, but they keep walking, because with each step they feel something impossible. Witnessed, truly, deeply witnessed. Not the surface kind of being seen, not the "how are you" that expects "fine" as an answer. This is different. The light is seeing past their smile, past their armor, straight into the exhausted, breaking, terrified core of them. It sees how they've been drowning, how they've carried everyone else while forgetting to breathe themselves, how they've given away so much light that their own flame guttered to almost nothing. And it's not judging them for it. It's calling them home anyway. The forest opens into a clearing and they stop, breath catching in their throat. Ahead, through the thinning trees, they can see the source of the light now. Not just a glow, a structure, a tower of old stone rising from the earth like a prayer, windows blazing with golden warmth. And at the very top, behind glass and iron, a lantern burning brighter than any fire they've ever seen. The light pulses 3 times, slow, deliberate, a message, come home, you are allowed to come home. The visitors' legs nearly give out. They catch themselves against a tree, staring up at the impossible tower, tears streaming down their face. This can't be real. They must be hallucinating. Dying, maybe. Perhaps they're still sitting on the path and this is what the brain conjures when it gives up. But the light pulses again, and they feel it in their chest, in their bones, real. Impossibly real. They push away from the tree and stumble forward, through the last line of trees, onto the narrow path that leads to the tower's base. The door is there, wooden, ancient, and open, spilling golden light into the darkness like an invitation. Inside, they can hear the whistle of a kettle, smell chamomile and old books, and something that might be cedar. See candlelight flickering in windows, creating a pathway up the spiral stairs. And silhouetted in the doorway, waiting with infinite patience, stands a figure. The keeper. His face lined with decades of compassion, eyes that have seen every kind of breaking and judged none of it. He smiles. Small. Certain. The smile of someone who's been expecting them. Welcome home, he says, voice rough but infinitely gentle. The lantern has been calling for you. Come in now, you're safe. Back in the tower's highest room, the lantern's flame finally settles, not dimmed, never dimmed, but peaceful now, satisfied. The keeper felt it the moment they saw the light, the moment they took that first step toward home instead of further into darkness. He closes his eyes and whispers to the flame, "They're coming, they heard you." The lantern burns so bright the entire forest glows gold, and somewhere in the city the visitor left behind, a neighbor looks out their window and sees what looks like sunrise, hours too early, coming from the woods. Inside the tower, the keeper descends the stairs, hand trailing along the worn stone wall, heart full of the quiet joy that comes from knowing the light never goes out, not for anyone. No matter how lost they are, no matter how far they've wandered into darkness, the light always calls them home. Always. The visitor takes their first real step into the forest proper, beyond the scraggly edge where city meets wilderness, and something shifts. The trees they're moving, not swaying in wind because there is no wind, moving deliberately, leaning inward, branches bending to create an archway overhead, not threatening, protecting, like old grandmothers gathering close to shelter a lost child from rain. The visitor stops, heart hammering, and looks up. The canopy closes above them, leaves weaving together into something that looks almost intentional, almost like a ceiling. The darkness that felt suffocating moments ago becomes gentler, warmer, like being inside something alive that means them no harm. The path beneath their feet changes too. What was hard-packed earth becomes softer, springier, covered in moss that glows faintly green in the lantern's distant light. Each step feels cushioned now, like the forest is catching them, holding them up when their legs threaten to give out entirely. And then whispers. Not words, not exactly, more like feelings given voice. They rise from the moss, drift down from the leaves, curl around the visitor's ankles like friendly cats. You are safe. You are seen. Keep walking. The visitor's breath hitches. They press one hand to their chest, feeling their heartbeat slow from its panicked gallop to something steadier. The forest is speaking to them. Impossible. Insane. But undeniable. Keep walking. We've got you. You won't fall here. A firefly appears, just one at first, drifting through the trees like a tiny lantern of its own. It hovers in front of the visitor's face, pulsing once, twice, then drifts forward down the path. An invitation. A guide. The visitor follows. Another firefly appears, then another. Soon there are dozens of them, hundreds, creating a river of living light that flows through the forest like a path made of stars. They don't swarm or overwhelm. They simply exist, pulsing in perfect synchronization, and the visitor realizes with a start, they're pulsing in time with the distant tower lantern. Each heartbeat of light from the tower echoes in these tiny guides. The lantern is reaching out through them, saying, "I sent them for you, so you wouldn't be alone in the dark, so you'd know you're not forgotten." The visitor walks, and the fireflies part around them like water, then close behind, ensuring no darkness can creep back in. The forest whispers encouragement with every step. The moss cushions every footfall. The trees lean closer, protective, creating a corridor of safety through what should be wilderness. They're not alone in this darkness. They never were. The light has been watching all along, and when it saw them breaking, when it felt them giving up, it sent every gentle magic it could muster to bring them home. You feel it now, don't you? That maybe the darkness isn't as empty as you thought? That maybe you've been seen all along, even when you felt invisible? That maybe, just maybe, the universe has been holding space for you, waiting for the moment you'd finally let yourself be found? The visitor takes another step, and another, and the fireflies dance ahead, patient as starlight, stubborn as hope. Back in the tower's highest room, the keeper sits before the great lantern, and the flame shows him everything. It begins as shapes in the fire, shadows and light, weaving together like a story being written in real time. He leans forward, palms pressed together in front of his face, and watches the visitor's life unfold. There, a child. Small, maybe 7 or 8, standing in a kitchen while adults argue in the next room. The child is frozen, one hand gripping the counter, tears streaming silently down their face. And then the child does something that breaks the keeper's heart. They wipe the tears away, straighten their small shoulders, and walk into the arguing room with a smile. "Mommy? Daddy? I made you something." The argument stops. The child holds up a drawing of a rainbow. The parents smile, hug the child, forget their anger for a moment. The child glows with the accomplishment. They've fixed it. They've made it better. They've learned that their feelings don't matter as much as keeping the peace. Too young. Much too young. The flame shifts, shows more scenes in rapid succession. The teenager sitting alone at lunch, watching others laugh at tables full of friends, telling themselves it's fine, they prefer solitude anyway. The college student staying up until 3 in the morning to help a roommate with an essay, then going to their own exam exhausted and unprepared. The young professional saying yes to one more project, one more responsibility, one more thing, while their own dreams get filed away in a drawer marked someday. The adult standing in a hospital room, being told a parent is dying, and responding with calm efficiency, making all the arrangements, holding everyone else together, crying only once, briefly, in a bathroom stall at 2 in the morning. The same adult, older now, smiling at a family dinner while their hands shake under the table from anxiety they'll never name. Saying, "I'm fine," when they're screaming inside. Saying, "I can handle it," when they're drowning. Saying, "Don't worry about me," when they desperately need someone to worry. The keeper watches the weight accumulate, year after year, watches this beautiful soul give and give and give until they forgot what it felt like to receive. Watches them turn into a lighthouse, steady, reliable, always burning for others, and completely forget that lighthouses need oil, need tending, need someone to care for the keeper. He sees their goodness, their relentless, aching goodness, the way they stop to help strangers, the way they answer their phone at midnight for friends in crisis, the way they carry everyone's weather while pretending they don't have storms of their own. And he sees the moment just hours ago when they finally broke. Sees them standing in their apartment, staring at the walls, feeling the weight become too much. Sees the thought cross their mind, what if I just stopped? Would anyone even notice? Sees them walk out into the night, not knowing where they're going, just knowing they can't stay. Sees them collapse on the forest path, ready to give up entirely. The keeper is weeping now, tears streaming into his beard, shoulders shaking with sobs for this stranger he's never met. You've carried so much, he whispers to the flame, voice breaking, so much, more than anyone should have to carry alone, and you did it with such grace, such kindness, never once asking for the same in return. The flame surges in response, and he understands, yes, this is why I called them. This is why I wouldn't go out. The keeper stands, places both hands on the glass, and speaks directly to the fire as if speaking to the visitor themselves. Burn brighter. Let them know they can rest now. Let them know they're allowed to stop. Show them the way home. Don't let the darkness take them. Please, they deserve sanctuary. They deserve kindness. They deserve everything they've given to others, return tenfold. The flame obeys, surging upward with such force that the entire tower trembles. Light pours from every window, floods the forest, turns night into something gentler. Every firefly in the woods pulses brighter. Every tree seems to lean further in, creating an ever safer path. And in the forest, the visitor stumbles exhaustion, finally claiming their legs, but before they can fall, the light grows so bright it's like sunrise at midnight. They catch themselves against a tree, staring upward at the impossible radiance, and feel something they haven't felt in years. Hope. The light isn't just showing them the way. The light is refusing to let them fall. The visitor walks on, one hand trailing against tree bark for balance, and the fireflies begin their gentlest magic. One drifts closer than the others and lands on their shoulder. Its tiny light pulses once, warm against their neck, and then the forest disappears. They're 7 years old again, sitting cross-legged inside a blanket fort they built in the living room. Outside the fort, a thunderstorm rages, the kind that makes the house shake and the lights flicker. But inside, wrapped in quilts that smell like lavender and safety, they feel perfectly protected. Their mother's voice drifts in from the kitchen. You're safe, sweetheart. The storm can't reach you in there. And they believe her. Completely. Without question. Because when you're 7, blanket forts are real fortifications, and mothers are magic. The memory fades as gently as it came, and the visitor is back in the forest, the firefly lifting from their shoulder and rejoining its companions. They stand there swaying, one hand pressed to their mouth. They haven't thought about that blanket fort in 20 years. Haven't let themselves remember what it felt like to believe in safety that simple, that complete. Another firefly lands, this time on their outstretched palm. They're 16 now, sprawled on their best friend's bedroom floor, laughing so hard they can't breathe over something that isn't even funny, just a stupid joke, a silly voice. The kind of laughter that happens when you're young and the world hasn't taught you to be serious yet. Their friend is laughing too, both of them gasping for air, and the feeling is pure, uncomplicated. Joy without apology. When did they stop laughing like that? When did joy become something they had to earn, something they had to justify, something they only allowed themselves in small, controlled doses? The memory releases them, and the firefly flutters away. The visitor walks, tears streaming now, and the fireflies keep coming. Another memory. They're sitting in their grandmother's kitchen, watching the old woman's hands knead bread dough. The radio plays softly. Late afternoon sun makes the flour dust look like gold. Their grandmother looks up, sees them doing homework at the table, and smiles. Rest now, child. Let me do the work. You just sit there and be young. Another. They're 10, lying in grass, watching clouds make shapes against an impossibly blue sky. No responsibilities, no expectations, just grass and sky and the luxury of doing absolutely nothing. Another. Their father carrying them to bed after they fell asleep in the car. Half awake but pretending to sleep because being carried feels safe in a way they can't articulate. Another. A teacher kneeling beside their desk, saying softly, "You don't have to be perfect. You just have to try." Each memory is a gift. Each one returns a piece of themselves they didn't know they'd lost. The moments when they were allowed to be soft, when rest wasn't weakness, when needing help wasn't failure, when they were held, protected, allowed to just exist without performing. The visitor walks and remembers, and with each memory, they feel something shifting inside them, a thawing, a loosening, like ice that's been frozen for decades, finally beginning to melt. The light ahead grows closer now, not just a distant glow anymore, but a real structure, the tower taking shape through the trees. These moments aren't gone, they're just waiting. Like the light, like the keeper, like everything good you thought you'd lost when you learned to be useful instead of human. They've been here all along, preserved like flowers pressed in a book, waiting for someone to open the pages and remember. You were loved. You were soft once. You can be soft again. The visitor takes another step toward the tower, arms wrapped around themselves, and whispers to the fireflies, "Thank you. Thank you for bringing them back." The fireflies pulse in response. "They were always yours. We just reminded you where you left them." The visitor's legs are giving out. They've been walking for what feels like hours, though time has lost all meaning in this forest where fireflies speak in memories and trees bend to keep you safe. Their body is reaching its limit, exhaustion turning their limbs to lead, their vision blurring at the edges. They consider stopping, just sitting down right here on the path, letting sleep take them where they stand. Maybe that would be enough. Maybe seeing the light, feeling the memories, knowing they were seen, maybe that's all they're meant to have. Maybe they don't deserve to actually reach the tower. Their knees begin to buckle, and then they hear it. A voice in the light. Not words exactly. Not sound in the traditional sense. More like feelings, given voice, emotions made audible. Something that bypasses their ears entirely and speaks directly to the exhausted core of them. The voice is warm, ancient, patient beyond measure. It carries the weight of every kind word ever spoken, every gentle touch ever given, every moment of grace ever extended. And it says, without saying, "I've been burning for you. I will not go out. Not while you still need me. Keep walking, dear one. I'm here. I'm waiting. I won't leave." The visitor freezes, one hand clutched to their chest. They recognize something in that voice. Something they've been searching for their entire life without knowing how to name it. Unconditional welcome. Not welcome that says, "You can come in if you're useful." Not welcome that says, "You can stay as long as you don't need too much." Not welcome with conditions and clauses and fine print. Just, "You can come home. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to perform. You don't have to be anything except tired. Come home. Rest. You're allowed." The voice continues, wrapping around them like the softest blanket. "I see how heavy you are. I see how long you've been carrying everyone else. I see how you forgot to ask for help because you were so busy being help for others. I see you. All of you. The parts you show the world and the parts you hide. The strength and the breaking. The lighthouse and the drowning sailor. And I'm here for both. You don't have to be strong to be worthy of light. You don't have to be fixed to be deserving of rest. You just have to be you. Tired, breaking, barely holding on you. That's enough. That's always been enough." The visitor's knees hit the ground, not in collapse, but in surrender. They kneel there on the moss-soft path, surrounded by fireflies, and let the voice wash over them like warm rain. This is what they've needed. Not someone to save them. Not someone to fix them. Not someone to tell them to try harder or be stronger or pull themselves together. Someone to say, "You can stop now. I've got you. Rest." They realize they're crying again, but different tears this time. Not the desperate tears of breaking, the releasing tears of finally being seen by something that won't ask them to be anything other than what they are. "I'm so tired," they whisper to the light. "I know," the voice responds. "Come home. Let me tend you for a while. I don't know if I can walk anymore." then crawl, then rest and try again, then let the fireflies carry you. However you arrive, you're welcome. The door is open, I'm waiting. The visitor stands, somehow. Impossibly, they stand and begins moving again. Not walking now, something between a stumble and a run, desperate, sobbing, moving toward the voice that promised them rest without conditions. The forest parts around them like a curtain pulled aside, and there it is, the tower. Solid. Real. Rising from the earth like a promise kept. Windows blazing with welcoming light, and at the very top, visible even from here, the lantern burning with such fierce, tender brightness that the visitor has to shield their eyes. But they don't look away. They run toward it, arms outstretched, like a child running toward a parent they thought was lost forever. The light pulses 3 times, and the visitor understands the message. Welcome home. You made it. You're safe now. The visitor stops at the tree line where forest gives way to a small clearing, and for the first time, they see the tower in its entirety. It's not what they expected. They've seen pictures of lighthouses grand, painted structures, red and white stripes, beacon towers built for display as much as function. This is nothing like those. This tower is old. Ancient, maybe. Built from stone that looks like it grew from the earth rather than was placed there. Covered in ivy, that climbs like it's listening to secrets told in the wind. The windows glow gold, warm as candle flame, irregular in their placement, as if the tower was built by someone who cared more about comfort than symmetry. At the very top, behind thick glass reinforced with iron, the lantern burns. Not harsh. Not blinding. Welcoming. Like arms opening wide. Like a mother's smile when you come home after too long away. The light pulses gently, rhythmically, and the visitor realizes they can feel it in their chest, their own heartbeat synchronizing with the lantern's patient rhythm. The path from forest to tower is short but lined with smooth stones that glow faintly in the lantern light. Easy to see. Easy to follow. At the end, a door. Wooden. Weathered. Beautiful in the way useful things become beautiful through decades of service. And open. Not just unlocked, actually open, swung wide, spilling golden light onto the stone path like an invitation written in luminescence. In the doorway stands a silhouette, the keeper. Even in shadow, the visitor can sense his gentleness. The way he stands patient, unhurried, like he's been waiting here for centuries and would gladly wait centuries more. His hand rests on the doorframe, casual, welcoming. No sense of judgment or evaluation, just, yes. You. I've been waiting for you. The visitor's voice breaks the silence, barely more than a whisper. I don't understand. Why? Why did you call me? Why me? The keeper's response carries down the path, warm as the honey light pouring from the doorway. Because you needed the light. And the light doesn't abandon souls in darkness. It searches until it finds them. It burns until they come home. That's what light does. That's what love does. He steps forward slightly, and lamplight catches his face. Weathered. Lined. Eyes that have seen every kind of suffering and judge none of it. A face that says, I understand. I've been there too. You're safe with me. Come in now, he says so gently it almost hurts to hear. You're home. The kettle is warm, the bed is ready, the light has been waiting, and so have I. The visitor takes one step toward the tower. Then another. Their legs are shaking so badly they can barely walk, but they keep moving. The fireflies form a corridor around them, lighting the way, ensuring they won't stumble in these final steps. You understand now, don't you, that the light has been burning for you all along, that you were never as alone as you thought? That somewhere, always, there was this place being kept warm for you, this door left open, this welcome being prepared even when you didn't know you needed it? The visitor reaches the base of the tower's path, and the keeper descends the 3 worn steps to meet them. He opens his arms, not demanding, offering, and the visitor makes their choice. They fall forward into the embrace and break completely. The sobs come from somewhere deep, somewhere the visitor didn't know existed. The kind of crying that shakes both their bodies, that sounds like animals wounded, that can't be controlled or contained or made polite. Years of held-back tears. Decades of "I'm fine," finally shattering into "I'm not," "I've never been," "help me." The keeper holds them steady, one arm around their shoulders, one hand cradling the back of their head like they're something precious. He doesn't try to quiet them, doesn't tell them it's okay or that everything will be fine. He just holds on and lets them break, his own breath steady and sure beneath their chaos, an anchor in the storm. "I know," he murmurs into their hair. "I know. You're safe now. You can fall apart. I've got you. I've got you. You don't have to hold yourself together anymore." The visitor clutches at his sweater-worn wool, soft from decades of washing and cries until there's nothing left. Until their throat is raw and their chest aches and their face is wet with snot and tears and they've run completely dry. And still the keeper holds them. When the sobs finally quiet to hiccups, when the visitor can breathe again without it catching painfully in their chest, the keeper gently pulls back enough to look at their face. "There," he says softly, "you're here now. The hardest part is done. You made it." He guides them over the threshold, one arm still around their shoulders in case their legs give out, and into the tower proper. The moment they cross into the space, something shifts. The air grows warmer. The sound of the night forest fades to a gentle hush. The door closes behind them with a soft click, and outside, a storm they didn't even notice begins. Rain against stone, thunder in the distance. But inside, warmth, light, safety. The tower wraps around them like a blanket. The entry is small and round, stone walls hung with old copper lanterns that cast dancing shadows. A narrow wooden bench, hooks with a wool coat and weather-worn hat, boots lined up neatly by the door. Everything speaks of a life lived simply, carefully, with attention to what matters. The smell, chamomile and old books and something cedar-like and clean, the smell of a place where people come to rest. "The lantern has been calling you for days," the keeper says, guiding them toward the spiral staircase that curves upward into the tower's heart. "Ever since you first thought about giving up. It saw you drowning, and it refused to let the darkness take you. I'm glad you heard. I'm glad you came." The visitor tries to speak, but their voice catches. The keeper seems to understand without words. He squeezes their shoulder gently. "You don't have to explain. You don't have to justify. You don't even have to talk if you don't want to. The tower knows why you're here, and you're welcome for as long as you need." Days, weeks. Time doesn't work quite the same way inside these walls. He pauses at the base of the spiral staircase, looks up toward where it disappears into shadow, then back at the visitor. "The guest room is waiting at the top. It's been ready since the lantern started burning for you. Can you climb? Or would you like to rest here first?" The visitor looks up the stairs. They wind upward, worn smooth by centuries of footsteps, and something about them feels safe, contained. Like climbing them will be leaving something behind with each step. "I can climb," they whisper. The keeper nods, approval in his gentle smile. "Good. I'll be right behind you. And the tower will hold you if you stumble." They begin to climb. The first step releases perfectionism. The visitor doesn't notice it consciously. The sensation is too subtle, too strange. But as their foot meets the worn stone, something lifts. The voice that's been screaming in their head for years. "You're not good enough. You have to do better. One mistake, and they'll all see you're a fraud." Suddenly, quiets. Not gone. Just softer. Like someone turned down the volume on a radio that's been blaring their whole life. They take the second step, and the belief that rest is weakness falls away. Third step. The voice that says, "You're not doing enough," releases its grip on their chest. Fourth step. The need to please everyone evaporates like morning mist. With each step upward, another layer of armor peels away. The careful mask they wear at work, the cheerful persona they maintain for family, the "I'm fine" they reflexively give to anyone who asks, the belief that their worth is measured by their usefulness. Step by step, the tower strips them back to something rawer, more true. Midway up, the visitor's legs give out entirely. They collapse onto the stairs, gripping the stone edges, overwhelmed by the sudden lightness. It's disorienting, like they've been carrying a backpack full of rocks for so long they forgot it was there, and someone just cut the straps. They feel untethered, dizzy, weightless in a way that's terrifying instead of freeing. The keeper appears beside them, moving impossibly fast, or maybe he was always this close and sits on the step, patient as stone itself. "It's disorienting, isn't it?" he says quietly. "To realize how heavy you've been carrying yourself." The visitor nods, unable to speak, tears streaming again. "You've been wearing armor so long it felt like skin, and now it's falling away, and you're remembering what it feels like to just be. You. Soft. Vulnerable. Human." He reaches over, places one weathered hand over the visitor's trembling one. The lantern knew. It saw you drowning under all that weight. That's why it wouldn't go out. That's why it called and called until you heard. It knew you needed someone to see past the armor to the person underneath, scared and tired and so desperate for rest. The visitor's voice cracks. "I don't know who I am without it, without being strong, without being useful." "I know," the keeper says, and there's no pity in his voice, only understanding. "But you'll remember. The tower will help you remember. Every step up, you leave behind what doesn't serve you. Every step down, when you're ready to leave, you'll carry back what you need. Wonder. Softness. The ability to say no. Self-compassion. All the things you left behind to survive." They sit there on the stairs for a long moment, the visitor crying quietly, the keeper simply present, his hand warm and steady over theirs. Finally, the visitor takes a shaking breath. "Can I keep going?" "Whenever you're ready. There's no rush. The room will wait." The visitor stands, legs uncertain but willing, and continues climbing. You feel it lifting, don't you? Layer by layer, the armor falling away, leaving just you, raw and scared and more alive than you've been in years. It's terrifying, but it's also the first step toward remembering. You were never the armor. You were always the soft thing underneath, and that soft thing deserves gentleness, not grinding endurance. They climb higher, and with each step, they become less of what they thought they had to be and more of what they've always been. Human. Tired. Allowed to need help. Allowed to rest. They reach the landing, and the door to the guest room is already open. Light spills out warm as honey, and with it, a scent that makes the visitor's knees nearly buckle, their childhood bedroom. Not the way it smelled toward the end, when they were a teenager and it reeked of perfume and anxiety. The way it smelled when they were small, clean laundry and baby powder and the specific combination of wood and dust and safety that can never be replicated. They step through the doorway and stop, breath-catching. Impossible. The room shouldn't exist. Not like this. Not exactly like, but it does. Their childhood bed, the one with the iron frame and the quilt their grandmother made. Their window seat with the faded cushion where they used to curl up with books and watch rain. The stack of books themselves. Spine-worn and beloved. Leaning against the wall. The night sky visible through the window, but not the forest. Their safest memory, the view from their grandmother's house, fields stretching toward a distant tree line, crescent moon hanging low. On the nightstand, chamomile tea in their favorite cup. The one they broke years ago and mourned. The one with the tiny painted fireflies circling the rim. How does the tower know? Beside the cup, a note written in handwriting that looks like starlight, each letter glowing faintly gold. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to fall apart. You are allowed to need help. This room will hold you while you remember how. The light. The visitor's hands shake as they pick up the note, read it again, then a third time. Each reading drives the permission deeper into their chest, into the place that's been clenched tight for years. They look around the room again, noticing details. Soft clothes laid out on the chair, exactly their size, exactly their preferred style. Slippers beside the bed. Extra blankets folded at the foot. Everything they need, nothing they don't. The bed itself is piled with blankets that smell like childhood, like grass and sunshine, and the particular scent of being young enough to believe the world is kind. The mattress looks softer than anything they've slept on in years. They move toward it slowly, almost afraid it will disappear if they approach too quickly. Sit on the edge. The mattress rises to meet them like an embrace, conforming to their exact shape, supporting without constraining. Oh, they breathe, oh! Behind them, the keeper's voice from the doorway, so gentle it barely disturbs the air. The tower knows what you need, it always has. Sleep now, tired soul. The light is watching over you. I'm just downstairs if you need anything, but I think you won't wake for a long time. The visitor wants to respond, wants to thank him, wants to explain how much this means, but the exhaustion is crashing over them like a wave now that they're finally safe. They lie back, and their head hasn't even fully touched the pillow before their eyes close. The keeper watches from the doorway for a moment, face soft with compassion. He pulls the blankets up gently, tucking them around the visitor's shoulders the way a parent tucks in a child. Brushes a hand over their forehead, a benediction, a blessing, and whispers, "Sleep well, you're home now. You're safe. Rest as long as you need." He leaves, closing the door to barely a crack, and the room settles into perfect quiet. The candles dim to the faintest glow. The window darkens to show stars instead of memory. And the visitor, for the first time in longer than they can remember, sleeps. Really sleeps. The kind of sleep where the body finally believes it's safe enough to let go completely. The keeper climbs to the lantern room and sits in his rocking chair, the one that remembers the weight of his mother, and watches the flame. It's softer now. Not dimmed, the lantern never dims, but peaceful. Satisfied. The desperate reaching has eased. The frantic pulsing has settled into something steady and sure, like it's finally exhaled. "Thank you," the keeper whispers, leaning forward to rest his elbows on his knees. "Thank you for not going out. Thank you for being more stubborn than darkness." The flame flickers, and he swears he hears a response, felt more than heard. "This is what I'm for. This is why I burn." He nods, understanding, settling deep in his bones. He's kept this lantern for 60 years, but tonight he thinks he finally understands its true purpose, not just to guide ships, not just to keep the darkness at bay, to find the souls who've forgotten they're allowed to need light, to burn so bright they can't help but see it, even when they're drowning in their own exhaustion, to refuse, absolutely refuse to let them give up. He stands, moves to the lantern with his cleaning cloth and oil. Even though it doesn't need tending right now, the ritual soothes him. He polishes the glass in slow circles, trims the wick with careful precision, adds a measure of sweet oil that smells like cedar and kindness. "You found them," he murmurs as he works. "You saw them breaking, and you reached across all that darkness and said, 'No, not this one. This one comes home.' And they heard you. They came." The flame pulses once, gently. "Yes." Outside the tower windows, the storm has passed. The forest is quiet. But far below, the keeper can see other lights moving through the darkness. Travelers with lanterns of their own, finding their way home. Some heading toward the tower, drawn by the beacon. Others moving away, carrying light the tower gave them. The lantern burns for everyone. The keeper understands. Ships and wanderers and lost children and desperate souls. But tonight, it burned brightest for one particular person, because that person needed it most. And that's how love works, isn't it? Always burning, yes, but burning hottest for whoever needs warmth most desperately in that exact moment. He finishes his work, sets down his tools, and settles back into the rocking chair. The flame is steady now, content, glowing with the quiet satisfaction of purpose fulfilled. Upstairs, through the tower's ancient stones, the keeper can sense the visitor sleeping, really sleeping, the kind of sleep that heals bones and mends hearts and reminds the body what peace feels like. "You're sleeping now, aren't you, dear one? Really sleeping, not the fitful, half-conscious state you've been calling sleep for months. This is different. This is deep. Your jaw has unclenched, your hands have uncurled from fists. Your breathing has slowed to match the rain's gentle rhythm. The light is keeping watch. I'm keeping watch. You don't have to guard anything tonight. Rest. Finally rest." The keeper closes his own eyes, but doesn't sleep. He never sleeps when someone is healing in his tower. Instead, he keeps vigil, one hand resting on the lantern's warm brass, monitoring its steady pulse, ready to tend it if it needs tending, ready to climb the stairs if the visitor needs him. But he knows they won't wake. Not for hours yet. They have years of exhaustion to sleep off, years of carrying everyone else to recover from. So he sits, patient as the stone tower itself, and keeps watch while above him the lantern burns on. Steady, sure, refusing to go out, never going out. Not while there are still tired souls who need to find their way home. Inside the visitor's sleep, restoration begins. The dreams don't start immediately. First, there's only darkness, but not the terrible kind. The peaceful kind. The absence of thought and worry and the constant running commentary that usually fills every waking moment. Just nothing. Blessed. Healing nothing. And then, slowly, images begin to form. They're a child again. 3, maybe 4 years old. Small enough to be carried. They're walking somewhere, a park, a street, somewhere their small legs have given out and they're crying, overwhelmed, too tired to take another step. And then, arms. Strong arms lifting them up, settling them against a broad chest. Their father, their mother. In the dream, it doesn't matter. What matters is the lifting, the being held, the relief of letting someone else carry them for a while. They hear a voice, gentle and sure. It's okay. You don't have to walk anymore. I've got you now. Rest. And they do. In the dream, their child self closes their eyes and trusts completely, goes limp in those arms, all the weight of being alive transferred to someone else who can bear it. The scene shifts. They're older now, the age they are currently, but they're sitting on a park bench, and approaching them is a younger version of themselves, 7 years old, the age when they first learned to be the strong one. The child sits beside them, small legs swinging, and looks up with eyes that still believe the world is kind. "Hi," the child says. "Hi," the adult visitor responds, voice cracking. "Thank you," the child says simply. "For what?" "For surviving. For getting us here. For carrying me even when I got so heavy. For not giving up even when you wanted to." The child's small hand reaches out, takes the adult's larger one. "I know it was hard. I know you thought about stopping. But you didn't. And now we're here. And we're safe." The adult visitor starts crying in the dream, tears that feel warm and cleansing instead of bitter. "I'm so tired," they tell their younger self. "I know. That's why we're here. To rest. It's okay now. You can stop carrying me. You can just be." The child leans against their side, and the adult puts an arm around those small shoulders, and they sit together on the dream bench, watching clouds make shapes in an impossible sky. The scene shifts again. Now they're standing in a meadow, and approaching them, one by one, are people. So many people. They recognize them all. The colleague they mentored, the friend they talked down from crisis at 3 in the morning, the stranger at the grocery store they smiled at when they were having a breakdown, the family member they supported through grief. On and on, dozens of them, hundreds. Each one approaches, looks at the visitor with love, and says the same thing. "You gave me light. Now rest. Let us carry you for a while." And then each person pulls out a tiny lantern, like the tower lantern in miniature, and sets it floating in the air. Soon the meadow is filled with lights, hundreds of tiny flames, all burning for the visitor who thought they were empty. "See?" one of them says. "You think you're running out of light. But look, every time you gave light away, you made more. You're not empty. You've never been empty. You're overflowing." The scene shifts one final time. They're inside the lantern now, standing within the flame itself. And it's not burning them. It's warm, yes, but gentle, holding them. And from inside the fire, they can see themselves from the outside. They expect to see someone broken, failing, dimmed to almost nothing. But that's not what they see. They see someone radiant, Someone who glows with every kindness they've ever given, every time they chose compassion when it was hard, every moment they held someone else's pain so they wouldn't have to carry it alone. They see someone made of light not despite their exhaustion, but because of how they've chosen to spend it. The dream lantern speaks, voice like warm honey and starlight. You think you're running out of light, but you don't understand how light works. The more you give, the more you make. You're not a candle burning down. You're a lantern that feeds on kindness. And you've been kind for so long, so endlessly kind, that your flame has never once gone out. Then why do I feel so dark? The visitor asks. Because you forgot to let others tend you. Because you've been burning alone, but you're not alone now. I'm here, the keeper is here. And we will tend your flame until you remember how to tend it yourself. The dream begins to fade, gentling them back toward waking. But before it releases them completely, they feel one more thing. Arms around them. The keeper's arms, perhaps, or their mother's, or the universe's, or their own arms learning to hold themselves with gentleness, and a whisper. You're safe. You're held. You're allowed to rest. Wake when you're ready. Everything you need is waiting. They wake with tears on their cheeks. But different tears this time. Grateful ones. Morning light filters through the window, gentle, asking nothing. The visitor wakes slowly, consciousness returning in layers. First, awareness of the softness beneath them, then the smell of fresh bread and something herbal, then the sound of gentle humming from somewhere below. Finally, the memory of where they are, the tower, the keeper, the lantern that wouldn't go out. They lie still for a long moment, testing their body like someone learning to inhabit it for the first time. Their shoulders feel lower, not just physically, but as if some invisible weight has been lifted. Their jaw is loose. Their hands, which usually wake clenched into fists, are relaxed against the pillow. They breathe in, deep and slow, and the breath doesn't catch on anxiety or panic. It goes all the way down, fills their lungs completely, and releases naturally. When did they last breathe like that? They sit up slowly, expecting the usual dizziness that comes from exhaustion, but their head stays clear. Their body feels not rested exactly. They've slept one night, not a year, but different. Lighter. Like they've been underwater for so long they forgot what it felt like to breathe air, and now they're remembering. The clothes from last night are gone, replaced with soft garments laid on the chair, wool pants that look hand-knit, a sweater the color of cream, thick socks, everything exactly their size. Everything precisely what they would have chosen for themselves if they'd been allowed to choose. They dress slowly, running their hands over the soft wool, marveling at the care embedded in every stitch. Someone made these. Someone took time and attention to create something beautiful and useful. Someone decided comfort mattered. They moved to the window. Outside, morning sun illuminates the forest they walked through last night. In daylight, it looks different, less wild, more gentle. The trees stand like guardians. The path they followed is clearly visible, lined with flowers they didn't notice in the dark. Everything that seemed impossible last night looks possible now. The magic doesn't disappear in daylight. If anything, it's more evident. The world has been remade around them into something kinder. They descend the spiral staircase, and something extraordinary happens. With each step down, they feel something returning. Not weight this time. Gifts. First step. Wonder. The ability to be amazed by small things. Second. Joy. Third. Boundaries. The word no settling into their throat like a jewel they're allowed to wear. Fourth. Self-compassion. The ability to speak to themselves the way they speak to people they love. Fifth. Creativity. The desire to make something just because it brings them joy. By the time they reach the bottom, they feel fuller than when they climbed up. Not heavier, fuller, like an empty vessel finally being refilled with what it actually needs. They follow the smell of bread and herbs to the small kitchen. The keeper stands at the stove, humming something that sounds like a lullaby, tending a pan of eggs. Bread cools on the counter. Tea steeps in a pot painted with stars. He turns when he hears them, and his face breaks into a smile that holds no surprise, only welcome. Good morning, he says, as if they've been having breakfast together for decades. "I hope you slept well." The visitor tries to find words for what they slept, for how their body finally believed it was safe enough to truly rest, for the dreams that healed instead of haunted. All they manage is, "I dreamed." Good dreams? Healing dreams. The keeper nods, understanding everything left unsaid. The tower does that. Gives you back what you thought was lost. He gestures to the small table. "Sit. Eat. And then, if you want, we can talk. Or not. Whatever you need." They sit. The eggs are perfect. The bread is still warm. The tea tastes like every comfort they've ever needed. They eat in peaceful silence, the keeper moving easily around the kitchen, and the quiet isn't awkward, it's companionable. Safe. Finally, the visitor sets down their fork and asks the question that's been circling since they woke. "Why did the lantern call me? Why me?" The keeper sits down across from them, cradling his own tea. His eyes are ancient and kind. "Because you were drowning," he says simply. And the lantern's only job, its only purpose, is to guide drowning souls to shore. It saw you going under, and it refused to let you disappear into the darkness. "But why? I'm not special. I'm not—" "You are loved," the keeper interrupts gently. "That's the only qualification needed. You are loved by the universe, by the light, by every person you've ever shown kindness to, and love doesn't let go. It burns. It reaches. It refuses to give up. That's what the lantern is, the stubbornness of love, made visible." The visitor's throat tightens with tears they don't try to hold back. The keeper reaches across the table, places his weathered hand over theirs. "You've been drowning for a long time, haven't you? Carrying everyone else. Being the lighthouse while forgetting you're also the sailor who needs guiding home." The lantern saw that, and it said, "Not this one. This one doesn't disappear into darkness. This one comes home." After breakfast, the keeper leads them up the spiral stairs to the lantern room. The visitor has been in this tower for hours now, but hasn't yet seen the source of the light that saved them. As they climb, anticipation builds in their chest, not anxious, curious, ready. They step into the circular room, and their breath catches. It's smaller than they imagined. More intimate. The lantern sits on its oak table in the center, surrounded by the tools of its tending, polishing cloths, bottles of oil, scissors for trimming wicks. Books line the curved walls. A rocking chair sits by the window. Everything speaks of decades of devoted attention. But the lantern itself, it's beautiful in a way that makes their throat tight. Not ornate, not expensive looking. Beautiful in the way useful things become sacred through love. The brass is worn smooth by generations of hands. The glass is etched with tiny stars. Someone carved them once, probably a child, and instead of being fixed, they were kept, cherished. The flame inside burns gold and blue and something gentler than both. "This light has been burning since the first person forgot they deserved kindness," the keeper says softly, standing beside them. "Since the first soul got lost in darkness and needed a way home. It's older than me. Older than this tower. Older than most things that still exist in this world." He moves to the lantern, places one hand on the warm brass. It burns for everyone. Every lost ship. Every wandering child. Every desperate soul. But it burns brightest. He looks at them, eyes full of understanding, for those who need it most. And you, dear one, you needed it. He opens the glass door with a soft click. The flame doesn't flinch. Steady. Patient. "Come here. Place your hand near it." The visitor steps forward, heart hammering. They reach out slowly, expecting heat, expecting burning. But when their hand comes close to the flame, what they feel is recognition. The flame knows them. Has always known them. Knows every time they said "I'm fine" when they weren't. Knows every moment they carried someone else's pain. Knows every night they cried alone, thinking no one cared. Knows every time they thought about giving up. Knows how close they came. And it's not judging them for it. It's welcoming them home because of it. Tears stream down the visitor's face. "It sees me." "Yes," the keeper says simply. "It always has." even when I felt invisible, even when I thought no one cared if I existed. Especially then, that's when it burned brightest for you, when you needed it most. The visitor's hand trembles near the flame. I'm so tired of being strong. I know. The keeper's voice is infinitely gentle. That's why the light called you here, so you could stop. So you could remember something crucial. You don't have to be the lantern. You can be the sailor sometimes. Both things are allowed. Both things are necessary. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out a small glass vial. Empty. Hold out your hand. The visitor does. And he places the vial in their palm. Then, with careful precision, he tilts the lantern's glass door wider and uses a small copper ladle to scoop a single drop of the flame impossible. But there it is, liquid light caught in the ladle, and pours it into the vial. The drop settles inside, glowing steady. For the nights when you forget, he says, corking the vial carefully. When the darkness gets heavy again, when you start thinking you have to carry everything alone, open this and remember, the light is still burning. I'm still here. And you are always allowed to come home. The visitor clutches the vial, and something inside them that's been clenched for years finally, fully releases. I don't have to be strong all the time? No. The keeper says firmly. You don't. I can ask for help? You can. You should. That's what the light is teaching you. That's why it wouldn't go out, because asking for help isn't weakness, it's the bravest kind of strength. I can rest without feeling guilty? Yes, rest is not laziness. Rest is how light replenishes itself. Even the lantern needs oil, needs tending, needs care. You're no different. The visitor sinks down to sit on the floor, vial pressed to their chest, and weeps the final release. Not the breaking kind of tears, the accepting kind. The kind that says, I understand now. I understand. You feel it now, don't you? Permission settling into your bones like rain soaking into drought-dry earth. The understanding that you're allowed to need light too, that you don't have to burn yourself out to be worthy of love, that you can be both the lighthouse and the sailor, the strong one and the one who needs strength, the giver and the receiver. The keeper sits beside them, close but not crowding, and together they watch the flame burn. Steady, sure, never going out. Not for anyone. Not for the visitor. Not for you. The light refuses to abandon souls in darkness. It burns, it reaches, it calls, it guides home, and it will never, ever go out. They sit together in the lantern room for a long time, the visitor on the floor with their back against the curved wall, the keeper in his rocking chair, and the flame burning steady between them. The silence isn't empty. It's full of understanding that doesn't need words. Finally, the visitor speaks. Voice small. How long can I stay? The keeper rocks gently, considering. As long as you need. Time works differently here. You could stay a week and return to find only a night has passed. Or stay an hour and carry back years of rest. He pauses, then adds softly, But I think you already know the answer. What do you mean? You don't need the tower anymore. His voice is gentle, not pushing them away, simply stating truth. Not to stay in, at least. You came here to remember something. And I think, in your sleep last night, in your dreams this morning, you remembered it. The visitor pulls their knees to their chest, thinking, What did I remember? The keeper leans forward, elbows on his knees, and meets their eyes with that ancient kindness. That you carry a light too, not just for others, for yourself. That your light doesn't have to burn alone, consuming you until there's nothing left. The lantern called you here to show you. There are other lights. There's this light. There's my light. There are lights burning in every person you've ever helped, every soul you've held up when they were falling. He stands, moves to the lantern, and runs one weathered hand along its brass frame. You thought you were the only lighthouse, the only one who had to stand against the dark. But that was never true. You were just so busy burning for everyone else, you couldn't see all the other flames. The visitor's throat tightens. I still have to go back. To all those responsibilities, all those people who need me. Yes, The keeper agrees, but you'll go back different. You'll go back knowing you're allowed to tend your own flame. You're allowed to say, I need help, and I need rest, and I can't carry this alone. The light showed you that. That's why it wouldn't go out. That's why it called and called until you heard. He reaches into his pocket, the same pocket he pulled the vial from earlier, and draws out something else. A small key, brass like the lantern, worn smooth with age. He places it in the visitor's hand alongside the vial of light. What's this? The key to the tower door, he says simply. So you can come back whenever you need. You don't have to wait for the lantern to call. You don't have to be drowning. You can come back just to rest, just to remember, just to sit by the fire and let someone else keep watch for a while. The visitor stares at the key, tears welling again. You're giving me permission to need this? I'm giving you permission to need anything that helps you stay alive and soft and human. The keeper corrects gently. The tower, yes, but also rest, help, boundaries, joy, all the things you've been denying yourself because you thought wanting them made you weak. He kneels before them, this ancient man kneeling on the floor, and takes both their hands in his. Listen to me now. Really listen. You are allowed to need the light. You are allowed to come home. You are allowed to stop being strong and just be tired, and none of that makes you less worthy. None of that makes you a burden. The lantern burned for you because you deserved saving, because you are loved, because your light matters, not just what you give to others, but your own light, the one you keep for yourself. The visitor is crying fully now, nodding, understanding, settling into their bones like roots growing deep. Keep the vial close, the keeper continues. For the nights when the darkness gets heavy again, and it will, sometimes, because that's how life works, open it. Just a crack. Let the light remind you. I'm still here. This tower is still here. The door is still open. You are never, ever alone. He squeezes their hands once, firmly, then releases them and stands. Offers a hand to help them up. The visitor takes it, rises to their feet, and tucks the vial and key safely into their pocket. They feel the weight of both, but it's not burden weight, it's anchor weight, the kind that keeps you steady when storms come. I'm ready, they whisper. The keeper smiles. I know. Let's go down together. They descend the spiral stairs side by side, the keeper's hand hovering near the visitor's elbow, not touching, just present, ready to catch them if they stumble. But the visitor walks steady now. Each step sure, carrying them toward the threshold between sanctuary and world. At the bottom, the wooden door stands slightly ajar, morning light streaming through in a wedge of gold. The visitor can see the forest path beyond, peaceful now in daylight, nothing like the desperate darkness they stumbled through last night. Was it only last night? It feels like they've been here for weeks, for years, for exactly the amount of time they needed. They stop at the threshold, one hand on the doorframe, and turn back to face the keeper. Will the lantern call anyone else, they ask, or was I special? The last one? The keeper's eyes crinkle with a smile. He glances up toward where the lantern room sits far above them, then back to the visitor. It's already calling, he says softly. Even now, as we stand here, it's searching, it never stops. There's always someone who needs to find their way home, someone drowning in their own exhaustion, someone who's forgotten they're allowed to rest. The lantern will find them, just like it found you. And I'll be here, keeping watch, keeping the door open. The visitor nods, something in their chest both breaking and mending at once. They're not the only one who is lost. They're not the last who'll need saving. The work of tending tired souls continues, endlessly, patient as starlight. Thank you, they whisper, and the words feel desperately inadequate. For waiting, for not letting the light go out, for tending it even when you must have been tired too. The keeper steps forward, pulls them into an embrace briefer than the first, but no less warm. When he speaks, his voice rumbles against their ear. The light wouldn't have gone out even if I'd wanted it to. That's what you need to understand. That's what the lantern taught me 60 years ago when I tried to let it die. Love is stubborn that way. It burns even when we think we're not worth the oil. It refuses to give up. It reaches across darkness to find souls who've forgotten they're allowed to be found. He pulls back, hands on their shoulders, and looks at them with eyes that have seen centuries of suffering and never once turned away. You are worth the burning. You always have been. Even when you couldn't see it. Even when you thought you were invisible. The light saw you. I saw you. And we refuse to let you disappear into the dark. The visitor can't speak past the lump in their throat, so they just nod. The keeper's hands squeeze once more, then release. Go now. Go back to your life. But come back whenever you need. Whenever the darkness feels too heavy. Whenever you forget what the light taught you. I'll come back, the visitor promises, and it feels like a vow, like a promise not just to the keeper but to themselves. I know you will. He smiles, steps back. The door is always open, the light is always on, and I'm always here, keeping watch. You're never alone. Not anymore. Not ever again. The visitor turns toward the open door, takes one step, then pauses, turns back one final time. What's your name? They ask suddenly. You've given me so much, and I don't even know. I don't remember it anymore, the keeper says, and there's no sadness in his voice, only peace. I've been the keeper so long, it's the only name that matters. But you, he smiles wider, you keep your name. You go back to the world as yourself, not as a role. That's the difference. The visitor understands, nods, and steps through the door into morning light. The forest path stretches before them, the same path they stumbled up in darkness, but transformed by daylight into something gentle, possible. The trees still lean in, protective, but now the visitor can see the moss covering their bark, the way their branches interweave overhead to create a canopy dappled with sunlight. Birds sing songs the visitor was too desperate to hear last night, but that now sound like welcomes, like blessings, like the forest itself saying, "Good, you made it. You're going home changed." They walk slowly, in no particular hurry, breathing in the smell of pine and earth and distant rain. Each step feels different than the frantic stumbling of last night. Each step is a choice now, not a compulsion. They're not running toward the light anymore. They're carrying it with them. Halfway down the path, the vial in their pocket grows warm. The visitor stops, hand moving automatically to touch it through the fabric. The warmth isn't uncomfortable, it's like the gentle heat of sun-warmed stones or tea cupped between cold hands. Reassuring. Present. They close their eyes and feel the light's message, clear as words. I'm here. Still here. You're not alone on this path. I see you walking back into the world. I'm proud of you. The warmth fades to a gentle presence, and the visitor continues walking, tears streaming down their face but smiling now. The light is keeping its promise. Even here, even as they leave the tower behind, it's still watching, still holding them. They reach the place where forest meets city, the scraggly tree line, the first glimpse of pavement and buildings. Here, they stop and turn back. The tower is smaller now, more distant, visible only as a shape rising above the trees. But at its summit, they can see the lantern burning, steady and sure even in daylight. A flame that never goes out. A light that never stops searching for souls who need finding. As they watch, a figure appears in the highest window. The keeper. He must have climbed back up to the lantern room. He raises one hand in farewell. The visitor lifts their own hand to wave back. And then the keeper does something extraordinary. He places his palm flat against the lantern's glass. The flame responds immediately, surging bright, and the light pulses 3 times. Deliberate, rhythmic. A message in lighthouse code that the visitor understands without knowing how. You are loved. You are safe. You can rest now. The visitor places their hand over their heart in answer, and understanding floods through them like water breaking through a dam. They don't have to be the only light. There are other lights burning. Have been all along. The lantern, the keeper. Every person they've ever helped, carrying a piece of the kindness they gave. Every stranger who smiled at them in passing. Every friend who worried, even when they said, "I'm fine." Every small grace the universe extended and they were too tired to see. They just needed to be dark long enough. needed to let their own light dim enough to finally see all the other flames that were burning for them. And you understand now, don't you? That you don't have to burn yourself out to light the way for others? That it's okay to need the light sometimes? That being the lighthouse and being the sailor aren't opposites, they're both true, both necessary, both allowed? The visitor takes a deep breath all the way in, all the way down, and releases it slowly. Then they turn away from the tower and walk into the city, carrying the light with them. The visitor returns to their life. The same apartment with dishes still in the sink from 2 days ago, the same job with its endless emails and impossible deadlines, the same family that calls with crises, the same friends who need support, the same responsibilities that haven't disappeared just because they spent one night in a magic tower, but they're different now. They carry the vial, tucked close in a pocket they've transferred from coat to coat, always within reach. They carry the key on a chain around their neck, hidden beneath their shirt where it rests against their heart. But more than these physical objects, they carry something else, the memory of being held. The knowledge that the light burned for them, refused to go out even when they were ready to give up. The understanding that they were worth saving, the permission to rest without earning it. They start small. The first time someone at work asks them to take on an additional project, they pause. Feel the vial warm against their ribs, take a breath, and say, I can't. I'm at capacity, but I can help you find someone who has time. The world doesn't end. Their coworker nods, understanding, and walks away. And the visitor sits at their desk, hand pressed to the vial, and feels the light's approval warm and steady. Yes. Good. You're learning. The second time, it's their mother calling about a family drama that needs mediating. The visitor listens, then says gently, I love you, but I can't fix this for you. You and Dad need to talk to each other directly. I'll support you, but I can't carry this. Their mother is surprised, maybe a little hurt. But she says okay, and they hang up, and the visitor doesn't feel guilty. The vial pulses warmth once, twice. Yes, boundaries are allowed. You're allowed. The third time, it's their own body asking for rest. It's noon on a Saturday, and they're tired. And instead of pushing through, instead of finding productive things to do, they simply stop. Go back to bed. Pull the covers high. Sleep in the middle of the day without justifying it to anyone. And when they wake 2 hours later, the vial is warm, and they swear they can hear the keeper's voice. Rest is not weakness. Rest is how light replenishes itself. Weeks pass. Months. They don't return to the tower, but they think of it often. When stress mounts and old patterns try to reassert themselves, the urge to say yes to everything, to carry everyone, to burn themselves down, to light the way for others, they touch the vial and remember, there are other lights. You don't have to do this alone. And on the hardest nights, when the darkness presses close and the exhaustion feels crushing and they start to forget everything the tower taught them, they open the vial. Just a crack. The light pours out, not the whole thing, just a tendril, a wisp of gold that fills their room with gentle radiance. And it whispers, in a voice that sounds like the keeper, like the lantern, like their own deepest self. I'm still here. The tower is still there. The door is still open. You are still allowed to rest. You are still loved. You are still worth the burning. And it's enough. The light guides them back from the edge, reminds them they're not alone, helps them remember how to be gentle with themselves. Then it flows back into the vial, settles to a steady glow, and waits patiently for the next time it's needed. The visitor learns to live differently. Not perfectly, there are still days when they slip, when old patterns reassert themselves, when they carry too much and forget to ask for help. But those days are fewer now, and when they happen, the recovery is faster because they know the way back. They know the light is always burning. They know the tower is always waiting. They know they are allowed to need both. In the tower at the edge of the world, the keeper tends the lantern as he always does. Morning ritual. Polish the glass. Trim the wick, add sweet oil that smells like cedar and promise. Evening ritual. Light the candles in the windows, warm the kettle, fold the guest room quilt with tender attention. The days flow one into another, measured not by clock time but by the rhythm of tending, watching, waiting. But tonight, as he sits in his rocking chair watching the flame, he notices something new. A small light has joined the lantern's glow. Barely visible, just a flicker, really, but there. Nestled within the larger flame like a child beside its parent. He leans forward, squinting, then smiles with recognition. The visitor's light. They're out there somewhere in the world, living their life, but keeping their own flame lit now, gently, sustainably. Not burning themselves out, but tending their light the way he tends this lantern. With care. With boundaries. With the understanding that light needs oil and rest and kindness to keep burning. And their small flame is feeding back into this lantern, the way all guided souls eventually do, adding their drop of oil, strengthening the light that saved them. Becoming part of the endless cycle of tending and being tended, saving and being saved. Good, the keeper murmurs, reaching out to warm his hands near the glass. You're learning. You're remembering. You're keeping your light alive. The small flame pulses once in response, and he feels the visitor's gratitude across the miles. Thank you. Thank you for not giving up on me. The keeper's eyes mist with tears. Never. I would never. He sits back in his chair, content, and gazes out the window at the forest below. The night is dark, moonless, thick with the kind of shadows that can swallow souls whole. But he's not worried. The lantern is burning. The light is searching. And then there, movement in the trees. A figure stumbling, lost, drowning in exhaustion that makes every step feel impossible. Another soul who's reached their breaking point. Another person who's been strong for too long, carried too much, forgotten they're allowed to need help. Another lighthouse keeper who forgot they're also allowed to be the sailor. The keeper stands, moves to the lantern, and places both palms against the warm glass. I see them, he whispers. Do you see them? The flame surges in response. Yes, I see them. I'm calling. The light flares so bright it floods the forest with gold. Fireflies begin to wake, one by one, called into service by the lantern's need. Trees lean in to create a safe corridor. The moss on the path begins to glow faintly, showing the way. And far below, barely visible through the trees, the lost soul stops walking, looks up, sees the light, takes one tentative step toward it. The keeper smiles, satisfaction warm in his chest. That's it. That's it. You see us now. Keep walking. We're here. We're waiting. You're not alone. He moves to the kitchen, puts the kettle on to warm, climbs the stairs to the guest room, shakes out the quilt, lays it across the bed with care. Lights, candles in the windows, breadcrumbs of welcome for a soul who's forgotten they're allowed to come home. And then he returns to the lantern room, settles into his rocking chair, and begins his vigil. Because this is what light does. It burns for those who need it. It searches through darkness for souls on the edge of giving up. It refuses to let them disappear. It calls and calls until they hear, and it never, ever gives up. Even when the darkness seems infinite, even when the soul seems too far gone, even when hope feels impossible, the light keeps burning. Stubborn as love, patient as stars, refusing to go out. Not while there are still tired souls who need to find their way home. Not while there are still people who've forgotten they're allowed to rest. Not while there are still souls drowning in their own exhaustion, thinking no one sees, no one cares, no one will notice if they disappear. The light sees. The light cares. The light notices. And the light will never stop burning. Outside, the lost soul takes another step toward the tower. Then another. Still stumbling, still crying, still barely holding on. But walking, moving toward the light instead of away from it. Coming home. The keeper watches from his window, one hand resting on the lantern's warm brass, and whispers into the darkness. Welcome. You're almost here. Just a little further. The door is open. The kettle is warm. You are loved. You are seen. You are worth saving. The lantern burns brighter in agreement. And somewhere, in a city far away, the first visitor wakes from sleep, hand moving automatically to touch the vial at their bedside. Feels its warmth, smiles in the dark, whispers, "Thank you. Still here. Still learning. Still keeping my light alive. 2 lights, burning in synchrony. Soon to be 3. Then 4. Then thousands. All connected. All tended. All refusing to go out. This is how the darkness loses. Not with grand battles or dramatic victories, but with small flames, burning steady, refusing to be extinguished. With tired souls finding sanctuary. With lighthouses remembering they're allowed to need light too. With love that won't give up, no matter how heavy the dark becomes. The lantern burns on. The keeper keeps watch. And every tired soul, eventually, finds their way home. The lantern is still burning, you know, right now. Even as you lie here in the dark, curled beneath your blanket with your screen dimming to black, the lantern burns. In that tower at the edge of the world, in the place between waking and dreaming, the flame holds steady, patient. Sure, waiting for every tired soul who needs to find their way home. You took this journey tonight, didn't you? You walked through the dark forest with the visitor, felt the trees lean in to protect you, watched the fireflies spell words of welcome in the air. You climbed those spiral stairs, feeling the weight fall away with each step, the perfectionism, the belief that rest is weakness, the voice that says you're not doing enough. You stood in the lantern room and felt the flame recognize you, see every version of you that's ever needed holding. You've been there, in the tower, in the keeper's gentle presence, in the room that knows your exhaustion and offers only rest, no conditions, no requirements except that you're tired and you came. And now you understand something you didn't when the night began. You don't have to be the only light. You never did. There are lights burning for you have been all along, even when you were too exhausted to see them. The lantern, the keeper, every person you've ever helped, carrying the kindness you gave, every stranger who smiled, every moment of grace the universe extended while you weren't looking. You just needed to be dark long enough to see them. You feel it now, don't you? That warmth in your chest? Like something loosening, opening, letting in air after being clenched tight for years. That's not just the story, dear one. That's the light. It found you tonight, just like it found the visitor. Just like it finds every soul who's drowning in their own exhaustion and thinks no one sees, no one cares, no one will notice if they disappear. The light sees you. It has always seen you, and it refuses to let you go. The light will not go out, not while you need it, not while there's still darkness to cross, not while you're still learning to be gentle with yourself. It's burning for you right now. Steady, patient, stubborn as love, in that tower you can return to any time you close your eyes and remember, you are allowed to rest, you are allowed to need help. You are allowed to stop being the lighthouse and just be the tired sailor for a while. So sleep now, dear one. Real sleep. The kind where you don't have to keep watch. The kind where your jaw finally unclenches and your hands stop being fists and your breathing slows to match the rain's gentle rhythm. The light is keeping watch for you. The keeper is tending the flame. I'm here, speaking these words into the dark, holding space for your rest. You are safe. You are held. You are allowed to stop now. Let your shoulders drop one final time, yes, like that, a little more. Let the pillow rise to meet your cheek. Let the blanket settle around you like arms that will never let go. Feel the weight of the day finally releasing its grip. And if you forget, if tomorrow or next week or next month, the darkness gets heavy again and you start thinking you have to carry everything alone, remember this. Somewhere, at the edge of the world, a lantern is burning. The keeper is keeping watch. The door is always open. The kettle is always warm, and that light sees you, knows you, refuses to abandon you. No matter how lost you feel, no matter how far you've wandered into exhaustion, you can go back any time. The tower is always there. The light is always burning. You are always welcome to come home. All you have to do is close your eyes. All you have to do is remember. All you have to do is let yourself be held. Good night, dear one. Good night. The lantern is lit for tired souls. And tonight, like every night, like always, it burns for you. In the tower, the keeper adds your name to the lantern's glass with a fingertip of flame. Your name joins all the others, every tired soul who found sanctuary, every person who learned they're allowed to rest. The light pulses 3 times, steady and sure, its eternal promise written in the language of warmth and welcome. I will not go out. Not while you need me. Never. The flame burns on. The keeper watches, and you, precious, exhausted, finally resting, you sleep. Really sleep. Safe in the knowledge that the light is keeping watch. That you are loved. That you are held. That tomorrow you can try again to be gentle with yourself. And the lantern will still be burning. Always burning. For you.